I think it's also hard because you hit the nail on the head, and I was going to say that there comes a point, and people need to understand that everyone, I don't care who they are, has a breaking point.
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
don't care if it's me at 49. I don't care if it's you at 41 or if it's your boy at 16, 17,
Yeah.
and if it's my boy at the age of 12. Welcome to the Banter. I'm Dave. That's Hobbsy. We are brought to you by Berserk Athletics for all your custom apparel uniform needs. Hobbsy, my man. Seems like it's been a while, but it hasn't.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
3 questions for you, my guy.
All right.
How's it going? How's the family doing? And is there anything I could do for you, my man?
Well,
Sometimes we don't hear that come
yeah. I
from
don't know.
men.
It's going well. Baseball started.
Yeah.
Family's good. We had man. You talk about a long week. It was crazy week. So we do a little baseball jamboree last week.
Now
Then
explain the
I don't.
jamboree. I've seen them. It's like a thing now. Is it like just basically
Oh yeah.
scrimmages?
Yeah, so basically, obviously bigger schools, they'll vary by size of how many schools are involved in it. Ours has 3. We go to Lathrop, and it was Lathrop, Cameron, and Lawson. They'd had to
Okay.
reschedule it already, but Lathrop has a nice baseball field. It's all turf, so weather really, other than the cold or if it's raining, weather doesn't really affect it too much.
Yeah.
They play 3 innings of each. They kind of like modified, obviously, the run rules. There's a little modification. It's basically just to get some live pitching, some fielding, some
Yeah.
swings in. Uh,
Yeah.
you play each team a few innings, kind of do a round robin thing, just kind of play everybody, just to get them ready because the next week it's go time. So
Yep.
we did that, and then they played. They did pretty good in that. Got to see a little bit of the pitchers. Got some of the guys. Got some swings in there. Then we started off. I mean, we went first game Friday, Saturday doubleheader. Yesterday we had a doubleheader, and we're off and running, man. Like next week, Monday, Thursday, and then fucking doubleheader Saturday. The week after that we go. I mean, they play a bunch within
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
So weather permitting, we're go. It's been fun. As far as also this week, big week for the littlest one. It was
Uh-huh.
7th grade cheerleading tryouts.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, so we had some cheering going on around here, but Ashley's coached youth cheer for the little league football team here for years.
Yeah.
And Ashley was a cheerleader, and the girls have both were already cheerleading. They do pretty much all the same cheers already that the high school girls do. So Ashley has them all the girls that try sign up or
Yeah.
for youth cheer pretty much well prepared for school cheer.
Yeah.
So obviously, in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, this is probably a given. But
Yeah.
it's exciting for them, and of course, all of Ashley's girls made it. Carly obviously made it. She, I think it was funny because it wasn't a shock to any of us, but how they get excited about it. It's pretty funny. So yeah, it's been good. And then, man, what you can do for me is we can just keep doing what we're doing on here. I mean,
I tell you what.
this year, my bullshit another week. It's nice to do. It's enjoyable. It's not every day we get to talk about whatever we want to talk about, and sounds like, I don't know if the word is intimately, but be able to just express ourselves and bullshit about stuff is nice. So
Well, I tell you
mean
what, man, I appreciate.
and you can keep rocking them amazing hats. Jesus Christ,
Man,
that's another
that's what I was
just
getting ready to go to.
fucking
Go ahead
killer
and talk
hat.
about yours.
Hmm.
What you got going on top of
This
yours?
is Noble North getting another Canada
Yeah.
Noble North company. They had another limited drop. This is the Bear Warrior.
Nice.
So you got your bear, sweet ass warrior. You know how I am, so this is right up my alley. This is my bald head. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's got a sweet little I
No,
did
yeah,
that. Colors are
yeah,
sick. Yeah, the colors are sick, and I'm like, they limited drop these, and like they're usually gone in my size in a couple hours.
yeah,
So I saw that one, saw the alert on my phone. This one made me panic a little bit because it
yeah.
got stuck in customs. So I was sweating it. I'm like, God, I hope this
Woo.
gets here. And then when you and me had talked, I'm like, man, if Graydon had his baseball game. He's busy Friday, so I'm like, all right, that bought me a day. And then yesterday I was like, ooh, it's gonna be here, and I'm like, all right, good deal. So I was gonna go green for the Patty's Day, but then
Well,
Fox St. Patty's Day. I'm not really into it. So
well, put it like this: last episode, you rocked the Modesto A's hat. Now, I know we've talked about this, man. I am a hat. There's certain things I look for hats nowadays.
Mhm.
I know with the Oakland A's moving to Las Vegas, things are going to change for them. But I've always been a
Yeah,
fan of the old school elephant.
it's the best part. I love it.
And then I've always been a fan of not the hunter green, but the Kelly green. So we got the
Hmm.
gold
Hmm.
with the Kelly green. Let's see, the 50-year
Hmm.
anniversary patch on the side.
Very
New
nice.
era from hatclub.com. This thing is absolutely
That's
amazing.
nice.
I freaking love it. It
Yep,
was,
that's nice.
I search night and day for different hats with the logos that stand
Hmm.
out that you never see anybody wear. And
Exactly.
you won't find many that are going to have this hat too much
Oh
around,
no, that's
around
a good looking
us.
hat, man.
Yeah.
No,
But,
yeah, and that's how I am, man. It's like I always I can totally respect our hat game
oh, yeah.
because that's me, man. Like, of course, I've got some Chiefs hats that everybody's got. I've got some Royals hats everybody's got.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, I love, you and me's love of caps is hilarious to me, and the more unique ones that like we see them for what they are type deal.
Yeah.
It's what makes it makes it unique and fun. Like the one
Yeah.
you're wearing, I was peeping the Kelly Green one with the
Yep.
elephant like that, and that's me. Is there was one a couple years ago that I missed out on. I tried to buy it was actually like my Modesto one, but it was the same for Hunter Green, but it had the elephant like with the little he had the trunk and it was the full elephant,
Yeah.
and it
Yep.
was like he was holding the bat.
Yeah.
So so
The
man,
old.
yep, I love them,
So
man.
my thing, man, with hats anymore, like you said, you have the basic everyday game hats. I
Hmm.
look for the odd end hats or with the logo, but I
Hmm.
like looking for stuff that has either that stay within the color schemes.
Yeah,
Like you
yep.
could
Don't
go
get
on
too
and find
funky.
Oakland A's hats. I found this elephant on many different hats I have, but it's like in purple or in
Yep.
black and orange. Or I want
Uh huh.
something that stays within the color. Now there are some that that catch my eye and I go with, but usually I look for those that have or something that's synonymous to the team itself or the area they're from. So I
Right.
mean, because you to
Yeah,
me
and,
it's
and
like
and that's
go ahead.
when you're sticking to what you're sticking to it actually, like you said, you're sticking to it like the actual team, like the colors and stuff. Like it's not really a fashion statement, because you see so many people wearing them, and I get it, they want to have a hat that matches, but I'm not gonna go buy no funky ass like obnoxious colored hat.
Yeah,
Like some of the hat drops. I'm like,
yeah,
I get it, but I'm like, man, I want to stay like you. I'm the same way. I'm like, I want to be kind of in the color scheme. I'm
yeah,
not going to get too crazy. There might be one that sticks out once in a while that like has, I like to call it the Spanish flair to it.
yeah.
Like the teals or some of the bright ones. I
Uh
like
huh.
some of those, especially the MILB ones. Like when they do the minor
The
league hats,
minor
when they
league,
do like their Latin heritage ones and stuff.
yeah,
I like some
copas,
of those just because
yeah,
yeah, the colors are cool. So I'm
yeah.
like, ooh, I kind of like that. So once in a while I'll pick up one of those. I don't know if I've rocked the Pelicans one on here yet, but there'll be a Myrtle Beach Pelican ones I bust out that's
Hey,
about
I
as
look.
colorful as I get with them. But yep,
uh,
yep.
Pelican ones, I absolutely love those.
So
Um, another one about that.
Oh,
Like
they're
you
awesome.
said, the theme nights in the minor league theme night hats are absolutely fun, and just some of the things they do. But
I love them.
I will say this.
You know what's weird though? I can't get the marble hats. You know the marble hats,
Yeah,
the minor
I
league
don't know.
marble hats.
I didn't care for
I
them.
I don't like them. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
I
like
don't
them.
need.
I mean, I looked at every one of them and I'm like, I'm just not. It's not my thing.
But man, the one
Oh,
complaint I have about people in hats. I'm sorry, but if you're over 30 years old, take the goddamn sticker off the hat.
I hate it.
Right here.
I hate
Take
it. I hate
right
it.
here.
I hate it.
Clean
They're right
bill.
here. Yeah, I just took mine off. You might even still be able to see the
Yeah.
get that shit off of there.
I don't need to know your hat
Ain't nobody
size.
buying a hat for the hologram.
Well, man,
Nobody, no, you're collecting new era holograms. You got a problem already.
yeah. Well, man, I tell you what, since the last episode, a little update about me.
Yeah,
Doing a lot better, man. I'm
good.
feeling better.
You
Tons of
sound better.
energy. I mean, tons of energy, man. It's like yesterday, today, it's like I felt like I couldn't sit still. Just like felt like I
Yep.
needed something to do, stuff like that, man.
He's
I know
alive.
this episode, man. I wasn't really gonna try to stick away for as much. I was trying to limit the sports talk a little bit, but you had the jamboree,
Hmm.
and I took my boys out, and we
Yep.
had our first scrimmage this past Wednesday. The
Oh
boys
yeah.
look, they're looking pretty good. Um, there's still a
Yeah.
lot to work on. And like any coach will tell you, there's still a lot to work on. A lot of stuff in my eyes because I hold them to a higher standard than maybe what they feel they should.
Hmm.
They're okay with playing at, but I hold them to a higher standard. Um, I
Yeah.
do have a story, and you're gonna get a kick out of this. Um,
All right.
what? So I have two boys on my team that rock the oven mitts.
Oh
And one
God.
of them, I sit there and can understand why. He a little fast, was still a base, swipe a base. The other one,
Hmm.
so he hit a shot. He runs, gets there, starting to go to second, and he was showing me this bright pink, nice oven mitt. So of course I cracked a couple jokes at him and told the boys, if you're gonna do that, then we expect as coaches cookies in the dugout come first game
Right.
time, and I want pictures of you guys with your oven mitts on doing the cookies. So the kid proceeds to hit the ball. He gets sent to second. As he gets to second, we're y'all yelling down. He doesn't slide, gets tagged. So comes off the field, and we get through the rest of the scrimmage. And the next day at practice, I asked him, "Hey, why did you slide?" Well, coach, I don't like sliding. You don't like sliding,
But I got an oven mitt.
but you got an oven mitt. Well, coach, well, hold on. This is where it gets even better. Well, coach, I don't
Oh
like
boy.
sliding on dirt.
Oh.
He'll only
Oh.
slide if it's turf. Only
Oh
slide if
my
it's
God.
turf.
Oh.
Now,
They got it too easy these days, man. Yeah, they got it too easy these days.
I got a chuckle out of it. Of course, I rib him a couple times. Uh, but,
Oh yeah.
you know, nowadays it's about the swag.
Oh
It's,
yeah.
it's
I know.
about the
It's
swag.
not.
It's
You
about the
got to be
drip.
drippy.
Yeah, it got to be drippy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Got to be
sitting
drippy.
here. I crack up at my boy because he's a catcher. He catches from time. He shares catching. And he now he's rocking the towel out of his back pocket because he
Of
saw
course.
a
Of
couple.
course.
Saw a couple of the college guys rock the towel in the
Yeah.
back pocket. And So we're sitting there preparing for the scrimmage, and he comes up to me, and goes, "I want to put eye black on."
Oh
I
shit!
said, "Eye black for what? It's a scrimmage. The sky's cloudy."
I'm ready. I got to get my war paint on.
So,
Oh
but
man,
man,
I
I
love it.
tell you what, I'm
I love it.
excited for. I'm excited for this year, man. These 13-year-old boys, these 12-year-old boys, they are a riot. It's I love this
Oh yeah,
age.
man.
And man, I tell you what, they have
Mm-hmm.
given me. I look forward to every practice with them. I look forward to,
Yeah, oh
uh,
yeah, for sure.
you working with them and grinding with them. And I tell them, man, look, I had a conversation with them, and tell them how baseball will humble you. And one of them goes, "Yeah," and I said, "Yeah, baseball will humble you." And then some of them made the smart ass comment. I said, "All right." I said, "You know who I am?" They're like, "Coach." I said, "Yeah, I'm going to be your humble. So
Yeah,
I'm going to humble you
absolutely.
really good." But
Yeah. Braden, my boy had a humbling moment uh, Friday night in the varsity game. So he's pretty much he's a reserve on varsity for like fielding.
uh huh,
He's not ready to hit yet, but he's behind on hitting because one of the perks of being a good wrestler is that when you're still in the wrestling room and they're all hitting in the mornings, it's tough for the coaches to be like, yeah, go in there and gas
yeah,
yourself out in the morning hitting,
yeah,
and then get school done and then get ready. We got districts and state tournament to go, so you
yeah,
know it's tough for him to get caught up. He's still working on bat speed because he's a smaller kid. It's drop threes are still an adjustment. You know,
yeah,
not playing year round, or a lot is you can tell, but he's always got the speed and stuff, and he's he's good at stealing bases, and he's good at stuff, but he's still learning the confidence to be able to be more free on the bases.
yeah.
And I love that the high school coaches see his talent there, but they are also are you can tell they're going to put him in situations that are going to
For
be
him to
tough for him.
succeed,
And yes, and it's awesome because like first game of the season, they're on their second or third pitcher. I can't remember what it was. He was a lefty.
uh huh,
He had thrown a couple balls over to first already. Has had a good move. It was the first time Braden had seen a lefty like that with a decent move in high school.
uh huh,
Last year, in JV last year, you didn't. I don't mean it bad, but you didn't see a lot of that. Uh,
yeah,
Saw it. Got him pretty good, but he was going regardless. But got picked off. He ended up taking off for second. So he didn't really get picked off first. But ended up pitcher stepped off, went to second, or went to first with it. Braden took off to second, made it a close play, but it was one of those where he got to have his first after the game. I'm sure the coaches talked to him about it, but then the after the game, him and me conversation
oh yeah,
about
oh yeah,
what to look for, uh, you know what to expect there, what he needs to be looking at, what he could have done better, what he did do good. But
yeah.
he's already got to steal a lot of bases already. He's already got 4 or 5 stolen bases. Uh,
Well,
and
here,
it's been fun, but it was definitely humbling because I don't think he realized, your first lefty with a decent move, after not seeing that, you're like, whoa, because I think he was like, damn, and I'm like, and
yeah,
it's faster, and it's a lot. I think he's already realized it's a lot different.
yeah,
Like it's a lot different, and it was good for him. That's what I told him. Like, don't hang your head on it. I'm like, I'm fairly certain your coaches knew that there was a chance that was going to happen.
yeah,
You know, I think it was the situation called for you to run. There's 4 other guys in the dugout that could have ran there. He chose you to run, and
mm-hmm,
I felt very confident that is exactly why they did that there. As a
mm-hmm,
very good coaching lesson, I was kind of happy to see that happen. And honest to God, it sounds bad, but I'm kind of glad he did get picked off so that he can
yeah,
understand what he did do and what he didn't do right. So
yeah,
he could see it. So it's stuff like that, and then like with the kids your age, I remember that's when I first got into with coaching Braden and them
Uh-huh.
and helping them, and it was awesome because you could see their little heads starting to turn,
Uh-huh.
and they were starting to understand. They were starting to understand some of it,
Yeah.
and then some of it was like, "What the hell is he talking about?" And then you'd see it click,
Yeah.
and then it
That's
was great
one.
satisfaction as a coach,
Yep.
and you realized you were finally getting somewhere. And then
Yes.
physically, some of them are ahead of you, the other ones already, but physically, you're starting to see them like grow into little dudes, and they're starting to be able to function and put the stuff that they've learned, like apply it and see it
Yep.
start actually like taking itself into what it needs to be. The
Yes.
mechanics are starting to get through. The hands are starting to move faster. The
Yep.
feet are moving. The shuffles are there, and there's no better age. It's fun to coach that because you're
It
right there. You're the last guy they have, last coaches they have before they go to the next level for them.
uh-huh.
That sends them on their next journey to, and that in that stage, yeah, they'll some
Yeah.
of them will play. They'll all play. A lot of them play summer ball, but again, a lot of them, all of the sports come into play then, and they might be on that journey for baseball, but they might also have dedicated a lot of time to football, wrestling,
Yeah.
basketball, and you're their last setup for them to go into that succeeding,
Yeah.
or and it's awesome. It's a
Yeah.
great
It
spot to
is
be in.
it is gratifying to the aspect
Yeah,
is like you
that's the word.
said,
Good word.
you you, you see them even from last fall and then coming, we started basically the first week of January, started getting indoors, started getting kind of throwing the ball around, doing little odds and ends drill and swinging the bat a little bit. And it's to
Hmm.
see them from January and here we are March, the mid of March last week, to see them take the field in the scrimmage and what they
Yeah.
were from, October, September, October of last season to now and how much
Hmm.
they're growing. You get excited about it as a coach,
Yep.
but with this age group too, you have to learn to give them a little praise, but
Hmm.
have to make sure they stay humble with it because that
Exactly.
age,
There's
this is the biggest ego age sometimes, and
Oh yeah,
I'm
there
finding it
is
fine.
a lot of okay buts that happen here.
Uh huh.
Yeah, a lot of okay
So
but like this is good, but that
yeah,
was okay, but you did a good job, but there's you always kind
they're,
of have
they're
to have the constructive criticism ready to go.
yeah, their journey is just beginning on what a lot of them want to do, and it's like I
Hmm.
try to tell them is you know we won't start till April. I am not. I don't like this whole playing in March stuff. You know,
Yep.
you play indoors, you practice indoors January, February. You're not out on a real field. You don't know how that long that throw
Right.
is going to be. You don't. The
Oh,
speed changes when you're indoor and combined, and things are shorter. Things come quicker. Da 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 da. Da. I want them out
well,
on
and
the field
another
so they get the chance to adjust to the field.
right,
You know,
a lot of
so
that too is you think about with what you're saying when you go into the adjustments on the field and stuff. Not only the distance and bases, not only the speed of how the ball's coming off the ground or off the field wherever they're at. Not only the weather dynamic. Inside you're not getting any weather dynamic at all. And the other thing is I was actually talking to one of the guys, one of the other baseball dads yesterday about this. That there's so many in high school you see it. Yeah, you have a couple kids that'll come out hot, just ready to go and hit. But you
yeah,
see a lot of kids struggling, and the swing's good, and they're fouling off some pitches they're just missing, and they're the timing's good, and everything seems right, but it's like what is, and him and I was telling him I'm like people don't I don't think a lot of people take into consideration tunnel vision. Like
tunnel vision
tunnel vision is a real deal.
and
So you're out there and
game speed.
exactly. Yeah,
timing.
and it's just a lot. You get into that robotic situation, kind of.
Hmm.
Then in the game you're in, it speeds up significantly. You're used to, tunnel vision lights where you have this kind of lighting with these baseballs,
Hmm.
with pitching, yeah. But then you get outside and all of a sudden, if it's a sunny, big ass, sunny, clear ass day, you're seeing a lot better than if you're in a tunnel or with
Hmm.
no matter what kind of lights. If it's cloudy out, you get in a different kind of haze.
Yep,
Outfielding baseballs and shit. That changes a lot. Like
it
it's
does.
it's a thing, man. It's a big deal. Shadows. There's a lot
Yep.
that goes into that.
You get depth perception. Like I
Exactly.
said, I think the timing of game time speed
Mm-hmm.
is another one because you're indoors and things seem to go quicker. You're moving quicker, things like
Exactly.
that. Your bat speed because you're taking front flips. What I've noticed, especially with the kids, um, you know, my age group, the kids, is they're very programmed.
Mm-hmm.
You put them in the cage and they think they got to swing at everything.
Yep.
That's one of my biggest things. Like, would you swing at that in a game? No. Then why'd you swing at it
Exactly.
in the cage? It's one of those. You try to get the game time feels in, but not be so robotic with it. And I
Yep.
think when you're indoors, you become so robotic with it, and and then when they step out on the field, it's like okay. But
Yep.
man, I'm excited for it. Like I said, high school baseball around here is stuck, pumped up. I've seen people already, getting uh, youth games in already around the area. I
Yeah,
think
I saw a
March
lot of
is
tournaments this
still
weekend.
still a little too soon in March for me because like yesterday was what we had close to 70 degrees, and
Yep.
today in the morning it would have been wind chill of 25. So
Right.
you know, it's I don't
That's
know. It's
that's. I'm not looking forward to tomorrow night. We got Friday night. We had 65. Saturday yesterday we had the 60s.
yep,
Monday night we go to Chillicothe. Got to drive all the way to Chillicothe for one, and for two, 40's the high.
yeah,
So as soon as that sun starts getting down, them boys are playing. We're sitting there with some wind, and then here we are in the 20s.
yep.
Gonna
So
love it. I'm gonna be sitting there
that
going,
that's the joy about high school baseball. I do. I guess one of my questions: the high school age, and I know I did. They still
mm-hmm.
practice 5 days a week, correct?
Yep, yep.
Yes.
Uh, except for game nights, yeah. Any other time, they're Monday through Friday. Uh, our I think our boys, they usually 5:30, 6 o'clock is
Uh-huh.
about right.
And what?
They
So
get them
you're
in there.
looking
Coach Rob's got a
to
cool
start.
thing where huh?
Or what? They get out of
I didn't
school.
hear
What
you. What'd
time
you
they
say?
practice? About 3:30.
Yep, about 3 o'clock, and then they go pretty much straight in there. If they're up at the field, they drive up there. If they're in the all-purpose room, or if we have the bus lot. They have a couple different places
Yeah.
they can hit. They'll then they'll get going in there. They're lucky too this year. I mean, it's good every year, but I think they have like 6 seniors. 3 of them are going to play college baseball. So they got a great leadership group. They got a
Yeah.
good core group kids to help with them too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun. Yeah, they do
Yeah.
5 days a week. Unless Coach Rob gives them a day off or gets shortens practice one
Yeah.
week, one day for something, which I don't
I
know.
think.
Sometimes I'm sure. I guess I haven't realized. I didn't pay attention last year if he did that any, but I think a couple once in a while he'll let them have a little fun too. You know,
Yeah.
at practice, make practice not so serious. So
And you have,
he's got
and
a good
see, and
little
I think
crew.
the hard part with coaches and the youth side of it, especially my age group, is sometimes like I know I feel like I don't have enough time with the boys. I get,
Yeah, that's
we were
absolutely.
you get 2 hours a day during the week during the winter time because that's when you can get inside. And then when you get
Mm-hmm.
outside, and right now we're still fighting dark coming a little sooner. And then you
Yep.
have, you still fight the elements of, it could rain, it could be cold, heck, could snow, who
Yep.
knows? But then
Yep.
sometimes like an hour and a half, 2 days a week, so three hours total, just sometimes not enough for me. And it's like
No.
I'm a very, as you say, is I like to have the boys prepared. Like I feel like
Yeah,
I'm throwing
absolutely.
so much at these boys right now, and they're probably losing their minds too, thinking, okay, I got to remember all this stuff, and
Hmm.
try to chop it down and think we still have all season to work on this, but I'm trying to get you
Yeah.
up to speed in a short period of time before our first tournament. Because like any coach, you don't want to
Yeah.
go out there and look unprepared, and then it makes for a long season.
Right. Exactly.
And you know
And
the
it's funny because go ahead. I'll piggyback off of
I,
that when you're
I
done.
was going to say I wish part of me, and I know some areas have it, some don't. Is sometimes you wish that you could have the advantage of like middle school age ball. Some schools around
Hmm.
here have it, some don't. But that also gets
Yeah.
them even daily work. But
Yes.
we also fight in the youth side as you had, you know, I still had kids wrestling up to just a few weeks ago. I had a kid
Yep.
playing
Say last
hockey up.
weekend.
I had a kid playing hockey up to the last few weeks ago. I had some
Yep.
kids playing basketball. So you would have those days missed. And it's hard, it's like you want them to enjoy those sports, but it's like it's like you
Hmm.
want to move forward with stuff, but when they don't show up, you have to go
Right.
back in order to go forward. And that's the hard part,
Exactly.
man. And that's why sometimes I wish I had more time with them. I wish I got that 5 day. Plus, it would give me something to look forward to constantly
Absolutely.
for 5 days.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
but
it's funny. So when I coach my nephew, my oldest nephew, I coached them for a few years, and I was younger, but they're all 30 now.
yeah,
They're about to turn 30. That whole group's 29, 30-year-old boys, men now. But then it was kind of funny how we did it. I had four coaches
uh
like
huh,
that were with me all the time. I had a parents coach, is what I considered him. Great guy. His name's James. He was avid church goer. Very, very, very nice man.
mm-hmm,
All of the parents loved him. He was very good at delivering messages.
uh
He
huh,
was my communications guy because
yeah,
I was not there to coddle the parents. I was there to take those boys and teach them how to play baseball.
yep,
And so it sounds bad, but I made that very clear from the beginning. We even had a little contract that we wrote up that said, "Hey, when they're out here with me, they're here with me.
yep,
You need to discuss something, we'll do it after practice, not before.
yeah,
And if it's not pressing where it needs to come to me, talk to James
yeah,
because it'll get to me. He'll make sure I understand completely. I'm not trying to be a dick, but I'm here to focus on the boys and help them, get better." One of the things what I enjoyed though back then is, and it's different now. We all know, like I got lucky enough that I could have practice on Sundays,
uh huh,
and it was a big thing at first. Like it was kind of a shocker to the parents. I had 3-hour practices on Sundays, not an
yeah,
hour, not an hour and a half. We went 3 hours, and it was
yeah,
you were expected to be there. I did it after church most of the time.
uh huh,
I tried to make sure that you knew it was important, and then so when our hour and a half practice, or with the limited facility baseball fields we had here in Lawson and anywhere, we had our time limits to when we could rent the fields and stuff like that, or our
mm-hmm,
allotted practice times. So Sunday was usually available, and by God, I took full advantage of it.
yeah,
And a lot of parents weren't they weren't into it, but they understood it, and
yeah,
they would have them there and stuff. The commitment was there. And now fast forward to the last couple of years, I coached Braden and them. Helped,
uh-huh,
me, Jeremy, and Dustin and Matt. We did the best we could. Uh, the problem there is the facility is the same situation, only there was a lot more kids teams. Time was
yeah,
limited, and
yeah,
they were at the age they were going to be freshmen in high school, trying to, especially not with club ball kids. But,
mm-hmm,
us being independent teams, you try to maximize your time with them, but now
yeah,
you're constantly fighting parents. This is too much. It's too hot. It
Yeah.
rained. It rained an inch. Their pants will get dirty. There's mud on the, there's water in the outfield. Little Johnny's gonna get fucking blisters on his fingers. It's cold
Yeah.
outside, and of course then we have an hour to practice, or an
Yeah.
hour and 15 minutes before little softball team of 9 and 10-year-old girls is up there, and
Yeah.
you want them to, they're just trying to do their thing too and teach the kids. So, you respectfully get your stuff done, but then there's so much more time you need it.
It
And
is.
and then you see it because there's a lot for them to take in to prepare them even at the beginning of the season and even with all year. And where I know you're not just kids playing other sports, but another thing I know you hit on with, and I know it's there because it's the battle that every coach has ever been in with this, and I know you'll run into it, is when it's not sports. As the season starts going and you're right in the peak of the season, if you're someone whose team plays into July, especially there into June,
Yeah.
when you start getting July, and if you push into August, all of a sudden you got 13 family vacations, and conveniently you can put out the schedule.
Yeah.
You can give them a schedule in fucking January. This
Yeah.
is what we're going to do,
Yep.
and inevitably everybody's on vacation the exact same 3 weeks, and all of a sudden you've got 5 of your kids gone, even though at the beginning of the year they're like, oh, it shouldn't be a problem. And then they come up, Coach, we're going to go on vacation, and so-and-so's going too, and this kid's going too, and all of a sudden you're starting shortstop, you're starting 2 pitchers, your fucking catcher, 2 of your center fielder, everybody's gone, and you're like, so the kids that you had to prepare the time you needed to prepare for those situations,
Yep.
you're trying to do in a little amount of time, and it is kudos to you coaches out there. We all understand it. We're there, man. It is. I know you get
It,
ribbed on a lot, and sometimes some of you don't know what the fuck you're doing, but some of you do, and by God, kudos to all of you for having the
it,
nuts or the gall to
yeah.
go out there and do so.
Mine is I go, you try to tell them, because I know it's hard. I play both sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to ask parents to have their kids there at practice by 5:30
Yeah,
when
yeah, it's
you
tough.
think, a lot of people don't get done at work till 5, but this is the only time you
Yep.
have. So this is the
Mm-hmm.
only time you're able to have a practice. So you say 5:30. Then right now, with it being still kids still in school, have them stay 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yep.
It hard on them in that aspect. But then it's like
It is.
where I get them 2 days a week, and then I'm like myself is saying, hey, I'm gonna take away, or not take away, but I'm willing to give you some of my free time, and I'm not gonna make it mandatory for you because we
Yep.
have the two. Now, times are different, and saying
Right.
is like you said years ago, where you say, okay, I'm making this practice mandatory. You didn't,
Yep.
you may have had some parents may under the
Mm-hmm.
breath said something, but now all of them, no, that's too much. That's, I, three nights a
Yep.
week is ridiculous. And I go, is it, I'm going to give you my free time. I'm not going to make it mandatory for these boys, but for the boys that want that extra work, I think is huge. And I try
Mm-hmm.
to say it's because these boys are a step away from trying out for high school ball. The extra
Yeah.
work is going to help them succeed on to that next level. And I think some parents don't get it.
Exactly.
You can't
No.
drop your kid off to me and expect me to turn him into an all-star if he's not going to do the extra work outside of it.
Exactly.
I think it's
Exactly.
hard now because parents, the club teams and all that, they pay a lot of money. I could say it myself, is you pay the money, but at the same time, some parents feel because they pay that their kid deserves the time to play. So, like me personally, when I met with my parents, I said, look, yes, I understand. I want you to know that all your boys are going to earn their playing time. It's only
Hmm.
fair. You can't have,
Hmm.
it's like I had all the boys write down, like right before one of the first practice, couple practices, what is your main position you want to play, and give me like two other ones, like your secondary position or a position on the field that maybe you would like to learn to play. Out of
Yep.
the 12 kids, I had 7 or 8 of them write down second base.
Hmm.
So the minute we got outside, I said, "Look, I'm gonna call off your names. I'm gonna tell you where to go." And when I had 7 kids sitting in the line playing at second base, I said, "Now, how many people can go out and play second base?" One. Now you
Exactly.
realize there's 6 other guys you have to try to beat out.
Yep.
Think of it like this. Now, when you get onto the high school side of it, double that number,
Exactly.
triple that number, depending on the size of school
Yep.
and the area you're in. So I,
Mhm.
it's a different world we live in. Um,
Yep.
like you said, I remember playing all the way up through July into August.
Hmm.
You know, now it's like you said, if you push it into July, it's too hot to play.
Yep.
And baseball is meant to be played during June, July,
Oh,
August, not
it's always been
March,
played in the
April, May.
hot.
Yeah,
It's always been played in the hot. And if our like guys our size, even when I was that age, when if my chunky ass could catch, you know, a doubleheader or a tournament and catch every game, and it was
yeah,
103 degrees or 100 degrees outside, then don't tell me little skinny Timmy can't go out here and I mean I don't mean it bad, but don't tell me he can't after his 14 waters and we've had him on the bench and he's had ice on his head and this and that from playing some solid first base for a little while. Don't tell me
yeah.
it's too much.
You remember in the old school way, the coaches had a cooler full of ice and a
Yeah,
couple of towels soaking in there, and
exactly. Just
the catcher was the only one was able to put it on around his
yep,
neck,
yep,
and everybody else just had to drink water. And
yep,
then I remember being a pitcher, and it could be, you know, my coach required us to wear, the 3/4 length sleeves underneath.
yep.
And back then, it wasn't the Under Armour type stuff; it was the
Hell
cotton.
no, it was just sweaty cotton.
You're in 90-degree heat with all the humidity with 2 shirts on,
Yep,
sweating your butt
yep.
off
Well, that's
because
what I told a kid, one of the kids that we had playing for us a couple years ago. God bless him. It was hotter than hell, and he went back there and caught. And before he went out there, I told him straight up, like I literally, he was standing there, and I go, I know it's hot. This is gonna suck. I'm like, you're gonna learn to catch soaking wet. And he was
yeah,
like, what? And I was like, by the end of this game, you're going to look like you rolled around in a pig trough. I'm telling you, that's what it's gonna feel like. I'm like, you're gonna have all of your body sweat. You're going
yeah,
to have the baseball dirt. You're going to have everything that comes with catching, the wind blowing dirt. It's going to be hot as balls. And I go, and every time you're going to come in this dugout, you're going to chug water. You're going to put that, you're going to have the towel, wet towel on you. You're going to be putting ice on you. I go, you literally are catching like you're in a shower. The only
yeah,
difference is this shower is 110 degrees the whole time you're there. I'm
yeah,
like, you got to get in the mindset, get locked in, and that's how you got to do it.
yeah,
And it's, these days, fuck, if it's 82 degrees outside, we might have a problem.
yeah. Well, man, um, like I said, just want to talk a little bit. The second biggest sports thing is on today, which becomes a big next to the Super Bowl. I think Vegas loves. There's the March Madness brackets get released today. I'm not going to
Oh
touch a
boy.
lot to it because, to quite honestly, I have kind of being a huge Kansas Jayhawk fan. I hate to say it, but
Yeah.
if they make it past the first weekend, I'll be surprised. Hell, if they make it past the
Eesh.
first round, I'll be surprised. Last two regular season game get blown out by 20 something. First round of the conference tournament get blown out by 20 something.
Oof.
I'll just leave it at that. But
Oof.
you know, I'm
Oof.
still gonna have fun. I'm gonna fill out about 5, 6 brackets. Still gonna
Yeah.
enter pots here and there, but
Yeah.
Man, kind of get on some real life stuff, man.
All right.
I want to talk about bullying. It's a topic
All
that
right.
I'm currently kind of say that dealing with a little bit within the household, um, with
Mm-hmm.
my little guy, that
Mm-hmm.
he has encountered a little bit of bullying.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Schools have their policies. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
Parents have our policies,
Mm-hmm.
and I will say that my boy ended up getting a little in school suspension for 3 days
Yep.
because instead of how would you say instead of letting the bullying continue, and
Yep.
he went to try to confront to try to say, why don't we nip this in the bud? Like
Yeah.
I have no issues with you. I don't know what your issues are with me, but let's figure it
Mm-hmm.
out. I commend him for it.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
I guess it came a little into a little bit of shoving. And, you know, nowadays in schools, they have the cameras because unfortunately it's the time we lives in. But it caught
Yeah.
him, I guess, making
Yep.
the first shove. And reality, when you talk to him, and I told him, I said, look, man, it's going to be your side, his side, the truth. And unfortunately, you got the camera, you know.
Yep.
And so, I hear his side, and part of me goes, I understand what you're doing. I understand where you're coming from. And you wanted to try to not do this because he dealt with the bully in the past, and it
Mm-hmm.
was too much. And, they try to tell these kids nowadays to say something. But a lot of these kids feel like if they say something, nothing gets done.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
if they go to a teacher, they go to a principal, nothing ever happens. And unfortunately, sometimes it leads to, kids just harming themselves because they don't want to go to school, or they don't want to put up with it, or just becomes too much. I mean,
Yep.
we have people cyberbullying, that people who it's easy to get behind the keyboard, man. God, I remember when one of our first videos I put out, or I put on TikTok, one of the little snippets,
Yep.
and someone made a comment about our size. I'm like, grown man, I don't care what you got to say to me. It's
Yeah.
amazing how people are nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids are that way, and I'm like, you you try to tell these kids to stand out for themselves. You
Yeah.
try to you try to tell them to follow the rules, but when they try to follow the rules, nothing gets done.
Yeah.
And then when something leads to a tussle, because that's basically it came down to, a tussle.
Mm-hmm.
That now you have two kids, who ended up getting in school suspension, but at the same time, it's like because of what you saw on the camera, you're not hearing what's said in
Yeah.
between, what's being said verbally to somebody.
Yep.
And, you know, I know growing up, and I'm sure you were too, is they, we were taught to deal with bullies differently.
Yeah.
We try.
Yeah.
I'm sure you said it to many of them. Like, I tell them, like, look, you let him get one swing, and then you try to end it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But you
Uh-huh.
try to make it say, you try to tell them, make sure they do it first. Sometimes
Yep.
I go, confronting them was fine, and I'm okay with that. And what he did was fine. I have no qualms with that. But unfortunately, what they caught on camera was him making a shove to the kid, and a little pushing back and forth. And man,
Mm-hmm.
it's different. It's different nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
For
it,
sure.
it- you know, I don't know, man. It's different
It's
times.
oh, for sure. Because you think of it's funny you say back when we grew up. So you know, I always think about it, and you're you're either, if you get bullied back then, there, you could, there, you saw it.
Yeah.
Bullying's always been a thing. It's unfortunate, but yeah, it was dealt with differently. Like, mine personally, I got raised by a single mom. Uh, I didn't
Yeah.
get bullied a lot because I was a big kid. Uh, I had a good group of buddies always growing up. If anything
Uh-huh.
else, like, sometimes with them, I would probably bully them more, but we were buddies. But
Yeah.
I was one of the guys that always, I had a lot of friends that didn't run with popular groups and stuff. I always tried to be good to them. Anybody that I thought was getting bullied, I tried to be good to them, myself. And I actually
Uh-huh.
tried to protect a lot of them too. So, you know, one of the things with bullies I always found is the ones that would bully the people that I actually kind of loved and took care of, was there was always a, like they always say, there's always a bigger bear.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And back in our day, I know that I had a friend named Phil that got, fucked with on a regular basis, and for nothing that was his fault whatsoever at all. And I there were a couple people, and it's a long, long time ago, but there were a couple people that they liked to poke it until they found the bigger bear come around the corner.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, in any situation like that, I commended them for being able to take it and not do anything and put it in somebody else's hands to handle, whether it be a teacher or something else and a parent. But
Yeah.
more often than not back then, and it's still the same now, if it gets to a parent, a lot of times the parent's like, oh yeah, we'll say something to him, and then at home it turns into that kid's just a pussy, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It
Oh yeah.
unfortunately revolts into that, because parents will shoulder shrug it and be like, oh, it's not that bad, or
Yeah.
oh, it's blah blah, and that's not it, that's not the case. And then I think with teachers, it's, and especially these days, we had Dud on, Dud talked about it. Teachers are in such a weird, it's a unfortunate world that teachers are in now, that the
Yeah.
stuff they have to deal with because of what the kids are allowed to do at home, the
Yeah.
lack of respect for teachers anymore. And then when you're a teacher, you question, you wonder, looking outside at teachers, when they're in that situation, how much effort are they really going to put into when the practice
Yeah.
what you preach of speak up, because they're so ridiculed, they're so, shit talked and hammered on as teachers, and they're so, overworked, underpaid, and stressed out too. When they try to do right by somebody, how many of them honestly just have given up, or don't do anything,
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
and in turn are failing the kids, because the cycle of it starts way up high, and
Hmm.
by the time you get to some of the bullying, it's very well, the teachers are tired, or they feel like no matter what they do, maybe the administration's not going to do anything else, you
Yeah.
know, or maybe you've dealt with a parent over this and that and all this other silly bullshit, that when something serious comes up and you try to do something, a lot of times I think it does get overlooked, and I think that it's easy to be an open sinner than a false saint, should I say? Or it's
Yeah.
easy to bark and say that everyone's doing the right thing, and this is all this pretty picture, do this and we'll do this. And it's easy to say that. And then when it comes to action, actions speak louder than words. And there's a whole lot of words being talked and a whole lot of action never takes place.
Yeah.
And, and it puts kids in bad spots, because at the end of the day, the only people that anybody's failing are the kids that get bullied, or, are doing, when kids retaliate. Now,
Yes.
I'm not saying take a fucking gun to school or any of that,
Well,
but none of
yeah, I
that
was
crazy shit.
ready to
But
kind of follow
shit,
up.
shit leads to that.
Yeah.
You know, it builds up to that. And if it's not that, and you don't make excuses for kids that do radical, insane stuff, but that also goes back to what they've seen and what's going on in that kid in the first place that got
Yeah.
them to that point. You don't
Yeah.
just, and in cases, yes, there are maybe some mental challenges or some psychological challenges that were already there. But
Yes.
if you're not opening your eyes, and you keep shoulder shrugging shit off, and you don't teach them, or you can't get them the help they need, then
Yeah.
that's how that shit starts and happens.
Yes.
It's you can't talk about doing something about it and then not do shit.
I,
And that's the thing is it's just they paint the picture. The world's got a whole bunch of pretty artists. They paint all these fucking masterpieces that everybody, the human, all of us,
yeah.
we all fall for a painting at one point. We see this masterpiece, we see this big picture. This is the beautiful world we live in. And at the end of the day, it never fails. That paint starts to fade. You
Hmm.
find out that painting was fake. You fell in love with it, and then all of a sudden you're not. And the next thing you know, nothing happened, and everything that could have went wrong, and it went
Yeah.
happened right in front of your face because you were talking about it, you thought you were doing it right, or you said you were doing it right, but somewhere between the cracks, it was all falling apart and it was all sinking into it. And I feel like that happens with bullying so much that it's easy to say we're doing the right thing and come tell us, and then when you do, what the fuck are
Yeah.
you really doing about it? And then when it comes to old school, us, a lot of dads, even a lot of moms, I know that every parent that has a kid that has to go through that hits their breaking point,
I was
that
going to say that.
they're like, you know what? If there's I know for a fact that in there were times where I've thought to myself that I can't go I can't go say something to little Timmy, and it's just the mindset. This sounds bad. I can't
Yeah.
go say something to little Timmy, but I will absolutely fuck his daddy up if you don't quit fucking with my child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is I'm gonna handle this as mature and responsible as I can, and I'm gonna tell my kids to do the right thing and be the better person. But
Yeah.
if every avenue has already been done, if you've
Yeah.
tried to talk to the teacher, or if the teacher's seen it and pretend they didn't or didn't make any actions towards it, and if the parents of that child or the bully said, "Oh yeah, we've talked to him," and that shit persists, I'm old school as it gets. I am literally gonna say, "Hey," just like you did. I'll be like, "Man, fucking, if they push you, pop them square in the fucking face." And sometimes I don't mean this bad, and I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about it. Sometimes at the end of all this, where I'm going is sometimes you just fucking punch somebody square in the beak because they need it. Cut
Oh,
and
I
dry.
agree.
I'm 40 years old, 41 years old now. I'm the same way now. I don't give a shit. You walk in a bar with me or anywhere we're at, you fuck with me enough, you poke at my fat ass, you keyboard warrior me enough and say, hey, you make jokes about us on here and say, hey, look at these two. They should be talking about eating better and shit like that. That's all good and decent. I'm a grown ass man. Say what you want, type it on a keyboard. You run into me enough and you fuck with me enough, and there's a good chance out of nowhere I'm going to finish my third hamburger of the day. I might have a heart attack doing it, but I'm going to pop you square in the fucking nose. Cut and
I
dry. I don't give a shit if you look like fucking Andre the Giant or what. You're going to remember
who I
that I
am.
stung you once. Don't, yeah. And it's bullies, it just gets me because I, honest to God, through all that, I feel like there's a full circle there where I know most teachers and everyone, and it's not just teachers, but counselors, they're trying to do right. They
Yeah.
really are. But when it gets like that and there's so much of it going on, like, and people just, like I said, they see this pretty picture and they're not really seeing what's behind it.
Yeah.
They just there just needs to be more done. And
It's
if not, you shouldn't be suspending kids for popping little Timmy in the face if little Timmy deserved to get popped in the fucking face.
I think,
Sorry about it.
to me, like you said, I think it when it comes to schools, they do have limited resources.
Yes, exactly.
I I think a lot of times too, and I don't know the how would you say, I don't know the numbers. I'd have to look up the numbers, do a little research. It's also hard, when you have young boys
Yeah.
who
Yep.
don't have those male role models as teachers.
Exactly.
Which stick.
It's hard.
I think it's also hard because you like you hit the nail on the head, and I was going to say that there comes a point, and people need to understand that everyone, I don't care who they are, has a breaking point.
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
don't care if it's me at 49. I don't care if it's you at 41, or if it's your boy at what, 16,
Yeah.
17, and if it's my boy at the age of 12. Unfortunately, everybody has a breaking point, man or woman.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, when you have a kid who has a big heart, who sees the world through eyes like there's no harm out there.
Hmm.
And then the opposite end of it, you have me who tries to tell him that the world is a cruel, cruel place.
Absolutely.
That trying to get him to say, and him to say, you know, I try to be friends with everybody. I try to be the funny one, have people laugh at me. I want people to like me. And I try to tell them, look, not everybody's going to like you. Not
No matter
everybody's going
what you do. Yep. No matter what you do,
to, no
someone will
matter.
always find a reason to fucking think something's wrong with you.
There are things where people are, you know, call them like they are nowadays, call them haters.
Hmm.
They come in all sizes, shapes, forms, ages, whatever.
Yep.
They're going to hate you. There's a lot of kids who have low self esteem because of what may be happening at home, and they
Hmm.
take it out on kids who they feel are weaker than they are because it helps
Exactly.
build self esteem.
It's attention, man. The attention. A lot of times, the attention they don't get at home is
Yes.
is the attention they go seek elsewhere, and it is can a lot of times is negative, negative, negative because it's
And
whatever it
any
takes to get the eyes on me.
and any attention to them is good attention because it's
Exactly.
attention on them. And I
Hmm.
think what happens is some kids, like you said, who are being bullied, and you don't know what's going on mentally with them on top of it. And, mental health is such a big issue with everybody nowadays, with grown men, with grown women, with young kids, through it all, that unfortunately, and it's like you don't want to say this or go this route, but unfortunately, we have some kids who just can't take it,
Yeah.
and they're the ones that unfortunately, how we have the Columbines and all those types of things, school shootings and stuff like that happening, because that's unfortunate that it's like kids can only take so much. You know,
Yeah.
you hear
There's
you hear
there's your
of
breaking point.
yeah, you hear young
Unfortunately.
girls who are being bullied, who take young kids that take their lives because
Yep.
the people are teasing them online or calling them out online, and and what are they learning from home?
Right.
Like you said, they laughed it off and said, "Oh man, he's just a pussy," or "Oh man,
Yeah.
she's weak anyway." So just parents play it off.
And
It's hard because not everybody's going to have the same values.
right.
I think we have lost respect as a society in whole. No one has respect for anybody anymore. No one has respect for human life anymore. They don't care.
No.
I mean,
Nope.
God, as you know, we had a couple weeks ago at the Chiefs parade. Those kids didn't care who was around.
They
But
don't give a
as we
shit.
hear more, they didn't care who they harmed. They're just,
No. They were
let me
doing what
try
they
to
wanted to
be
do.
a badass. And, you have someone lose their lives and other kids hurt. And it's just, man, it's a different world we live in nowadays. I think, you know, just society as wholes, we're failing. It
It's
used to be,
dude, it's the wild, wild west again, whether
it
people
is,
ever want to admit it or not. We
you,
are we are going so in reverse, it's not even
yeah.
funny.
The days of kids playing in the street and feeling protected are long
Hmm.
gone.
Oh yeah.
Kids,
There's
I remember growing up and in the neighborhood, you always had that one neighbor who was constantly looking outside
yeah,
and always knew
yeah,
what was going on in the neighborhood and could
right?
tell you what the kids were
Exactly.
doing and wasn't
Hmm.
afraid to snitch on you.
No.
My
Yeah,
hey,
hey,
I
so
saw
and so
so and
yeah,
so out here in the street doing this, this, and this while you were at work,
right?
or the old couple that sat on the porch and wasn't afraid to yell at the kids to calm down. and keep it
Yeah.
quiet. Now everybody looks through the windows and go, "Oh shit, let me grab the camera. Let's tape and see what happens out here." Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
and then you're to a point where it's like you have parents who are afraid to discipline other kids that are playing with their friends out on the streets and all that stuff. Like, I remember growing up and a neighbor kid's mom yelling at us and yelling at me because we were out there acting stupid. And then
Yeah.
worrying because now I know my mom's about to find out or my dad's about to find out
Yeah.
what I was doing. I'm gonna get my ass in trouble even more. So,
Yeah. Yeah, back
you
in
know,
the day, they would march, because I was an ornery little bastard. So I remember back in the day, boy, I'd do some dumb shit, and the neighbor, I couldn't go in this neighbor's yard no more. Keep that little son of a bitch out of here. My mom would hear, or the
yeah,
neighbor down the street, we'd get in a fight because we were pissed off at each other. We'd hang out, but by God, we were mad at each other over a dinosaur or God knows what, or somebody being able to ride a wheelie on a bike. So we'd punch each other in the nose, and then for a week, you can't go to his house and he can't come over here and get your
yeah,
ass home. But every dad or every mom on the block was just as easy to snatch you up and smack you upside the head and then tell your mom you did it.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
now, fuck, maybe you can't even go to the neighbor next door and say, hey, your dog's out without getting a fucking a gun pulled on you, or
yeah.
it's
It,
it's
and
all
you
bad,
lose
man.
that.
But one of the things with
Oh,
what's up?
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I said, what happens is
I
it's
was,
even lost in schools because I remember God
oh
up
yeah, for
until
sure.
when I think about it, I went to when I was in elementary school, I went to a private Catholic school. And when you think about that was in the early 80s, I'm just like aging everything now. That even the
Hmm.
principal, they would call your parents and say, and they would spank you. The principal would
Yeah.
spank you.
Oh yeah, I remember back in the
The
day.
teachers were not afraid to discipline you. And now you have teachers who are afraid to say anything because they're afraid of the backlash of parents. We have taken
Yeah.
control. We've taken away the control of authority figures because now it's almost kind of reverse. Now they're afraid to do anything, so they have to kind of let things be, and that's sad. And
Right.
it's a sad way to we have these kids, the world we have these kids in now.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of it too is, we can sit here and talk about this, and we've all been on the other side of it too. Like it's just kind of everything about human. You just think in general, like we're all hypocrites in a way to something.
We are.
And it's we can talk about bullying, but I remember, I've been a bully before. We've all had a situation learning, growing into men, growing into
Uh-huh.
women, where we've been on the other side of it. When you realize it, sometimes you ate a fucking piece of humble pie yourself, or
Yeah,
you know, you grew out of it. We've all been there. We're hypocrites about a lot of things. It's kind of like it's tough, but it's always something to address. One of the ones where I speak of that with hypocrites, where I'm going with this is like it's a perfect example of like you and me or anybody that we see that's a big person, heavy set or something.
uh-huh.
I've laughed at it for years. It's always been like someone that wants to chime in about us being big guys, or you see a big lady or anything like that. Everybody wants to poke a fucking joke, because they're on their fitness journey while they're out smoking 25 Panama Reds, can't fucking breathe, and they're skinny because they're cancer ridden smoke cigarette bastards. And you're like, and it's always stuff like that. So why I go into that is it's that same radical hypocritical stuff you see with a lot of parents, where they will preach all of this stuff about doing the right thing and blah 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 and this and that. And kudos to all parents, because like what I've learned since even becoming a bonus dad, and just in general, and I'm watching my mom go through it, and all of every parent I've ever met. If you truly are interested in people and see how people are, it's amazing with parents that like it's the hardest job anyone will ever do.
Yeah,
There's no right way or wrong way to do it. We all think we're doing it. We hope we're doing it the right way, but
yeah,
it's just like anything else. What's right to some people is what's wrong to somebody else.
yeah,
Like you said, everyone may like you want to be liked by everybody, but that's not always. It's never going to be that way. But one of the things that you can do, and with parents, you see it all the time, is get to know your kids.
Yes.
Understand what they're going through at school. Talk to them about it. Don't be their buddy first, be their parent first. Have the tough conversations. Find
Yeah.
out who's fucking with them, what it's about, so you can find out if there's a breaking point that you're not seeing. Not every kid's just going to open up to somebody and be like, oh, so and so, like you said, they just fucking hide it and it
Yeah.
eats them up. If you don't every day, how's your day is not always just enough,
No.
you know, and I'm learning that more and more every day.
Yep.
They need to be able to come to you. Every parent, they should be able to come to you with anything and everything. And even if you hate it, don't like it, agree with it, disagree with it, it's at that point you learn to set all that aside and teach them the right way in your idea. Bullies especially, or anything like that. And that's the thing, like, you see so many parents now that everything's a fucking inconvenience.
Yes.
It's always an inconvenience. Bullying's right down that alley. It's shoulder shrug. Oh well, don't do that. Or, what? See what the fuck is going on there, man.
Yeah.
Man, they have, and we've talked about this before. There's entirely with social media, TikTok, the fact everything gets videoed. Every kid's got a phone. All of this stuff now that we didn't have,
Yeah.
the access and the shit they do for clout or just to get likes or attention, everything has become a look at me, attention seeking, do anything for someone to like me
Yeah.
or approve of me. That's all that matters. You learn and you lose everything about being an individual and
Yeah.
your own self, finding who you really are as a person, like being okay with being alone, being okay with who you are, knowing who you are,
Yeah.
because you're chasing all this bullshit from strangers and shit that don't matter. You know, yeah, look at us. Here we are on a podcast, right? We want you to like and follow us. We want you to listen to us. Hell yeah, we do. We would love it. But at the end of the day, there's not a day that goes by that I'm going to lose an hour's sleep and say, you know what? Fuck,
Someone
man.
thinks so.
Me and Dave only had 3 people see this, but I'll tell you what, I'll feel better that we talked about it. And you will
Yeah.
too. And then we can go back, say one of us passes away or something bad to happen to us. We can go back and always have this shit
Yeah.
and someone will
I'm
see it, whether it's us, whether it's our kids, or, and it's funny because I laugh at that because I see it with parents and the bullying thing. I see it in general. It's like, it's a bigger animal going on here, but it's like, pay fucking attention. Pay more
Yep.
attention. Don't fucking just blow it to the side and shit like that because it happens way too much, and it sucks. And then that's where that breaking point makes me tear up. But that's where that breaking point comes from, where you get Columbines or you get,
Yeah.
and then they're so easy to blame everybody else because then we go
Yeah.
into the blame game. But we won't. We got all sorts of episodes. We won't get into that now. But then it's, hey, it's so and so's fault because we need a fucking quick answer. So we're gonna go. There's, we won't get
I
into all that. But I'll just
it,
pay attention to your fucking kids. Hear them at
it's
home. Listen to what they got to say.
yeah. It's crazy because you said that. 'Cause it's like
Whew.
you did say people. Where everybody's hypocritical,
Yeah,
and
it
here
is.
we are. I mean, because I know we're a lot alike. Is yeah. When I was younger, I wanted people to like. I mean, that's just human nature as kids, as teenagers. You want
Yeah.
people to like you. Want to kind of be the popular kid. You want to do that. And here we are, 40-year-old men who I could give two shits what you think about me. I give two
I don't
shits
have.
what you got to
We
say
don't have
about me.
enough time in our days anymore, man. We got to
I
live our life with
don't,
the ones that
I
do
don't
like us.
and that's what's crazy because I go, yeah, we're putting ourselves out there, and yeah, like you said, we want the subscribe and likes and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But you know, to me, we're two just real genuine guys
For real.
who every day, every day, every day struggles.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
As you can see, we've interviewed guys who a lot of them have done some good things in life and sports. but what it's boiled down to is what they are as fathers and in men.
Right.
You know, when when I thought about starting this, and then when you coming along, it was like, yeah, it was fun to talk about the sports, but you can only talk about sports for so long.
Right.
Let's
Right.
get down to the nitty gritty of shit, and let's talk about everyday
Yeah.
life. We're not New Heights. We're not the Pivot. We're not all the other ones with all the fancy productions and all the production teams and all this stuff. We're two guys, a simple setup at your house, my house, simple little podcast system, the edits, do it in my free time. We do it when we can. It's therapeutic to us, but
Right.
whether we have 3 views or we have 100 views, or if we eventually get to the 1K, the 2K, or whatever, there's one person out there that hears us
Yeah.
and goes, man, that hits home.
Yeah.
Or, man, that there's people out there that are like me. I didn't realize that was someone out there like me.
Right.
It's like, is going back to last episode, and I go, now we're 13 episodes into doing this, is saying, yeah, what I did was I look back at it and go, I found I guess, a sort of an addiction to an over the
Yeah.
counter medication. And
Right.
yeah, it's not cocaine, it's not meth, it's none of that stuff, but I became dependent on something for almost 2 years
Right.
and had to shake that out of my system.
Yeah.
And if someone else can go, man, I yeah, you don't think of yourself as being a drug addict per se or
Hmm.
alcoholic per se, but at the same time, there's people out there that battle the same, probably some of the same stuff I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And can feel that and understand that. It's like,
Right.
you know, you you think stuff's harmless, but it's not. It can mess you up. There's stuff
Yeah.
out there that can really mess you up. Hey,
Yeah.
I've never touched cocaine. I've never touched meth, but it's like you have your own. Sometimes I think the word demons is not the best right. Say our own mental struggles.
Yeah.
You have some.
We all got battles, man.
You have, yeah, battles. You have your own struggles. You have, you know, you lose someone who's close to you.
Yeah.
You get a fear of, that happening to you.
Yeah.
You add on to the family pressure and the work pressure and everything else. And I think that's been the hardest part, is trying to balance the two worlds. And sometimes a lot of people can say that. It's
Yeah.
hard to balance work life and family life, especially when you succeed. And then that tears up a lot of homes. And I think that happens mentally. You work, a lot of people working demanding jobs, long hours.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to realize this, and I think even companies themselves realize, like, us as human beings need that
Hmm.
break. I don't need to be on my phone or near my computers 7 days out of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, should I be? Probably sometimes, but at the same time, we all need a break. You need a break,
Oh
I
yeah.
need a break, CEOs need a break, everybody needs a break. And that's, to me, what weekends are made for.
Yeah.
Weekends anymore, it should be about my time.
Hmm.
We have work hours for a reason.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I know people who work 24 hours a day to build businesses. They've done a lot of it, but sometimes it's like some people don't have the same goals as others.
Exactly.
Some people
And
show up to work, want to get their hours in, clock out, go out the door. Some people go
and
the extra mile. Some people pour into the job and feel shitted on. Some
yeah.
people, don't, who, that's why I was laugh about, man, because it's like the unions. And we've
Yeah.
been there. You have guys that would come in and bust their ass and do that. Then you have the guys who came in and
Don't
did
do shit.
half the work, and they still all got
No.
the equal pay. And
Right.
it's like, it's crazy, man. And it's uh
It's and too. You think of you know when you think of what, especially like when you talk about work and stuff like that, and like work, and it's really with the work life balance and being able to have weekends and or any time you when you just need a breath and just with everything. Another thing with that cracks me up is, I've always, and like you said, we all have different, like, how we view it, or what our
Uh,
goals are or not goals, or what it is, I will always respect the hustle of anybody that can work like that and marries their career
yeah,
and has the vision of, look at what I built for my children. You know, they'll never want for nothing.
that guy
You
right
know,
there.
exactly. They'll never want for nothing. But what's funny about that guy is he does it right. He is a coach. He is active in his children's life. Think
Yeah,
of think of how many people, I know you and me both know them. Think of how many people that have married their careers and stuff and use that though as what my children will have, and then when they leave this earth, all of that stuff they built,
yeah,
when, say, something were to happen, what about the ones that don't coach or don't
yeah,
spend any time with
yeah.
their kids? Do you think that a child or a kid is going to, and this is a big for me thing because of my situation with the kid's dad. Do you think they would rather have, and it's not, Lord knows it's not because he's busting his ass at work, for, just so we're clear. Do you do you think that it's more important to the kid to have time with their father, or do you think they would rather be rich? Sure, some of them rather be rich because they've never known their dad in the first place. In some cases, or their
Yeah.
mom for that matter. But what if the only thing that you would ever, as a kid or growing up, considered yourself to be rich was time with your father or your mom, and
Hmm.
none of that money mattered to you, or
Yeah,
none of, or you work and you build this legacy, and you see it all the time. You build this, you want a legacy, or you build this, and then your kid is so resentful to you because
yeah,
you missed everything they did, that what you pass on to them they want absolutely nothing to fucking do with,
yeah.
and it's everything that they hate. There's
It
so
is.
many sides to it. So it's it's huge to me, like, to have a work life balance, and exactly on the weekends, and take care of your side of, your break and your breaths, and make sure that you're a part of their lives and anybody's
Yeah.
life that you care about. Like,
It
you don't marry, and when you talk about relationships, you don't marry your job. You marry your spouse.
exactly.
And we've both seen, you know, our share, especially in the softball world or anything else. We've seen what happens when you choose to marry something else that is not
Hmm.
your spouse, and what it does to your entire life, and how it can completely destroy it and put
Hmm.
you in the worst kind of way, and be in the worst kind of situation. Because
I
there's
think
nothing there's
balance,
nothing worse than losing your loved ones. Yeah. It's balance is
balance,
huge. Absolutely.
balance is huge.
Yes.
I think balance is lost to a lot of people. Um,
Oh,
I think you know you have failed marriages because people can't balance stuff.
yeah.
What kind of going into that is saying is all couples who've been together, married, engaged for a long time, just living together, due to certain things that you have to remember, especially when you got kids involved, that you have to find the balance for yourselves.
Yeah.
Like you said, I mean, if you're a husband and wife, you need to take time out and enjoy yourselves, even if it's for a dinner
Yeah.
or hell, let's just go take a drive. Like,
Right. Just do some goofy shit we used to do, just to
like,
not a care in
why
the
don't we
world, and just enjoy the moment.
why don't you and I like just go like during the wintertime? Why don't we just go look at Christmas lights?
Yeah.
Drive through it,
Yeah.
Christmas in the park or Christmas in the woods or whatever people have, like
Exactly.
without the kids, like it to enjoy our times. Because I think sometimes realize is, I think it benefits your kids because
Mm-hmm.
they they see what a healthy relationship is.
Mm-hmm.
I think you see so many people who, they see what, like, what you see on TV, what kids are seeing on TikTok, what kids are seeing on social media is, it's like the family function is being lost. You
Yep.
know, go back to it saying is, when you grow up without a father in the household, how do you know how to be a father? How are you
Right.
taught to be a husband? You know, luckily, even though my mom and dad are divorced, I had, you see that side of it as a kid, but then I saw my grandparents who, you know, thick and thin, how my grandfather treated my grandmother with love and did everything for her and was all about her. And then you see the bad side of it, and some
Yep.
people see the bad side of it and say, you know, I grew up saying I wanted to be kind of the man like my grandfather was.
Hmm.
I wanted to have the spouse where, she came first. You treat them right. A lot of these guys never have that. And then you end up
Yeah.
in relationships with girls, and girls are all like, why can't he be this way, that way, and this way? When you go,
Yep.
I'm sorry, he was never he'd never seen that.
Yeah.
He was
That's
never
not.
taught
That's not what. Yeah. That's not what. That was not how they were brought up. That was. There's.
yeah.
There wasn't that way there, and
I don't
it makes
and I
things
don't mean to
tough.
say this in a bad way, but it's like when you have a little girl and your mom, and you have Tom, Dick, Harry, Steve, you know, whoever else, John, and whoever else coming in and out the door. What is she gonna? You can't then when she gets older and go, why are you doing this? When that's what they saw. You can't take
And
a
that's the
boy
thing is,
who has a male role model who is with Jane and Susie and everybody else, and why
yep,
he can't find, he feels like he's got to be with 50 million women.
yep.
The same
Kids often
concept.
imitate and learn what they see, even if no
Life,
one thinks they're doing it. It's naive to
life
think that they do
imitates
not learn and see it.
life imitates life, and
Absolutely.
getting personal with it, I was the same way.
Hmm.
I saw, my father was women after the divorce, women, woman, to where it came to me as though like there was not a woman who felt like I could satisfy, and it was woman after woman after woman after woman until the one came along.
Hmm.
And I always said it, I think God from time to time puts certain people in your life at certain times.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
went through my, when you think it's supposed to be your grown those years, 30s
Hmm.
when you're supposed to be settling down, having family, all that, and I was going through
Yeah.
still had a divorce, was fuck that, I ain't into this stuff. I'm never going to be a dad type person until I hit my mid
Yep.
40s, and then
Yep.
life changes, and you
Hmm.
got, man, now I got a daughter who, and then you have a son. It's like now you got to show them how family mode works.
Yep.
That
Yep.
there are good men out there. There are good women out there. You can have successful relationships. You can, and even if you don't have, but you can like be parent each other, like have co-parenting type things. Like
Yeah.
kids who see that, man, it's so better off for our kids. And it's other than, it's like life imitates life. And if
Yeah.
you're a role
For
model
sure.
to somebody, like people look up to you, you're setting the ways for them. You're
Hmm.
paving the
And
path.
see, like with me, it's you talked about how you were. You think about me, like I always look at it like I did. I had a single mom that grinded. I was lucky. I had a grandma that was there too to help with my
Yeah.
brother, me, and my sister. But my mom, you know, busted her ass for us. She did everything for me, but at the same time, she got me through school and, kind of let me kind of find my way. She helped along the
Mhm.
way and pushed me, but I always look at it like this as far as relationships. and life in general. I look at it like I did a 37-year case study. To I failed miserably. I took advantage of things. I was the bad guy again, the good guy, the look at all these ladies guy when hey man, when Chunky Boy season started, I was the man. You know, they were all in that phase. I was happy to oblige. I've
Well,
been on every side of it. Family wise, my family is very small. We're all very different. When we're together, we're fine. When we're not together, we don't say a lot. We bicker.
hey,
You know,
and
and so
we went through it together per se. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, exactly. Hubbard
you
was
know,
there
it's
with
like
us, man. It was all of us.
I mean,
So
it's like you did, and I always laugh, man. 'Cause I remember you always said I had the gift of gab,
yeah,
but
yeah, and I didn't say much.
hey, it was funny because I learned that from imitating life
Yep.
to
Yep.
how to have that confidence in that, how to have, how to talk,
Hmm.
say what you had to say at the right moment to what they want to hear.
Right.
A lot of times it
And
worked, a lot of times you get shot down, but hey man, it was all like you don't know till you shoot your shot. And
right. And then you knew me. I wasn't saying shit. Nope. I'm gonna sit here and drink my beers, and you probably have cooties, ladies, but stay out of this bubble. And you look at it now, like I said, like a case study. And when people come along, that was with Ashley. She was like, I'm like, well, I'll let I'm like, "Mm." And then
they were
good drunken speech from Hubbard, and I'm like, I'll let you in my bubble, and that's worked out great. So, and it's funny, because then exactly with family and stuff, I didn't know the situation. You don't ever really know the situation you're
yeah,
in. It's always a learning thing. And like the kid's dad side of their family is super fucking close. Like
yeah,
so close that to me I'm like every
yeah,
birthday, every it
yeah,
don't- and it, God, because there's families like that, and God love them for it. It's just not my cup of tea.
yeah.
But I know it's important to them, so I might crack a little smart ass joke myself about it to Ashley. But I'm always supportive of him going and doing all that stuff. I'm just like, oh boy, because a 2-year-old's having a birthday party. I never in the history of any 2-year-old have I ever remembered a 2-year-old remembering their second birthday. But
No,
God forbid we have one anyway.
but
So stuff
man,
like that. I always
man,
get
I
fun about it.
was,
Yep.
again, that's part of the family thing. Because I remember growing up, we had
Yep.
parties for everything. A
Yeah,
lot of
exactly.
it,
And
on top of it,
it's
was the culture we were, the
yep.
Hispanic culture we had. You celebrated everything.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
when you think about it, yeah, do I remember my first birthday? No. Do I remember, but I remember my 21st birthday. I
Absolutely.
remember
And
my
yeah,
30th
exactly. And and I
birthday.
know it's part of they love each other's company, and that's great. And I'm glad that I'm glad they can be a part of that. And the dynamic too with me is on the opposite side of that is they can also see that you can still, no matter which way you choose to go, whether you grow up with your own family, you don't you don't necessarily have to be like dedicated to going to everything. That doesn't make you a bad person. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
doesn't make you any less loving or anything like that. You can, if anything else, just like teach them life things, like to keep like they see with me and Ashley. You keep your relationship private. You
yeah,
you have fun with each other. You make time for each other. You see when Braden gets to see when Ashley asks me to do something. Rarely does she ever have to ask me twice, and I make
yeah,
sure that he sees that because
yeah,
that's something that he should know. And
yeah.
you're going to do your own thing, but I want him to know that the women in your life are the most important part of your life. Like
Of course.
and as a boy child, he is. It's you never want him to end up on the opposite side of that, and
Yeah,
you don't ever want him to go through like I said, like when we go through the bad guy phases. I don't
yeah.
ever want him to be a bad guy like I was for a while. And
You
it's not that I
don't.
was. I just didn't know. I hadn't matured yet. My balls had dropped, but I was thinking with them and with nothing else.
I
Shit
think
for brain.
I
The
think
girls, I
that's a
want
lot.
them to be able to be treated right.
Yeah.
I don't want an asshole like me in my younger years around them. I want to make sure they get some good boys.
But, I sit there and go, with my daughter, I try to, as always say, I'm trying to spoil the hell out of her,
Uh huh.
and so she realizes what she wants when she gets older.
Yeah, for sure,
You know,
for sure.
you try to, and yeah, she's very independent for a 5-year-old girl.
Hmm.
Very
Yep.
self, like she likes to figure it out herself, and then, but she knows like when she wants daddy, daddy's gonna do
Yep.
whatever. So is
Yep.
my goal to ruin her for every other man out there? Yeah, because she's special to me.
Yep.
So she's going to be very picky on who she chooses because she's going to want
Exactly.
someone who can do, treat her the way daddy treated her.
And
Because
the
I
best
always
part
laugh
is too.
out there says, I want to make her to where he gets tired of hearing, well, my daddy was this way, my daddy was that way.
Yep. Yep. Well, and
But
and two, with the independent thing, that's the other part too. Is you don't ever want to teach someone to think that anybody is necessarily settling
yeah,
because I feel like everyone sees viewing as settling different. Settling is a very interesting word, but at the same time, when you teach them independence too, that
uh-huh,
they know what they want, they know what they deserve, they know what to expect,
yeah,
their expectations, and if they don't find that, or if someone is not for them, they are
yeah,
very capable of going on and becoming the president of the United States
yeah.
or whatever the fuck they want to do, and they don't need no goddamn body else to do it for them or
I
help them.
think
They can do it independently and just kick ass.
you try to teach these young girls to be that way.
Yes,
That
absolutely.
be independent, be strong,
Mhm.
you, be able to count on yourself.
Yes,
Don't
exactly.
don't be dependent on a man for any
Never.
means.
No. I
Young
It's
ladies,
one of
I
the
think,
old school shit things that I hate the most.
yeah, is I want my daughter to realize that she doesn't have to be dependent on a man
Mhm.
unless it's dad.
Yeah, yeah. You
Unless
need something, you come to us.
unless it's big brother.
Mhm.
I, it's just try to teach her to be strong in a society that still to this day wants women to be weak.
Exactly.
I think
Absolutely right.
it I know we say this, that's and not to get political by any means. I think that's why we still have a fear of having a female president. I think
You and I are very much on the same page on
men
that.
men
I know the snakes that wakes when if we were to talk about it really well, but I am 110% in agreement with you.
I think men are easily intimidated by strong women,
Oh yeah,
uh,
for sure.
and women that could think for themselves, do for themselves. I think that you know men. How do we say men are very word? You know, we like to that alpha male. We
Yeah.
like to feel like we can control whatever we want. And we still, no matter what it is, I think men still feel like they have to have a source of that we have to have some sort of control over
Yeah.
what our females do.
Yeah. And
You yourself were raised by a strong woman. I was raised
mhm.
by a very strong woman, very strong minority woman. On top of that, that
Right.
fought a lot through her work to get where she was and did a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
And I see that. So my always thing is, why wouldn't I want to raise my daughter to be like her grandmother? To
Exactly.
be strong, be independent, to do what like my mom didn't need a man. And I remember my mom
Yep.
apologizing to me, saying, after me and your father divorced, I felt bad because I never gave you a real role model. And I said,
Yeah.
that's not always true because I had my grandfather.
Yeah,
But what you
exactly.
showed me is everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
The hard work, what it does, the dedication to something, what it does, to eventually is saying, man, that's as crazy as it sounds like the qualities you start to look for in a spouse,
Oh yeah,
or the qualities you say, I want my daughter to be like,
yeah,
because you try to say, why wouldn't I, when you were so successful, why wouldn't I want my daughter to be the same way you were?
exactly.
So
And I'm right there with you. So my mom, the same thing. So and it's funny you say all that because like when you look at my situation, it's everything like what I thought I wanted in a woman, like you
yeah.
said in my 37-year case study. I think one of the things that was this sounds crazy that was off-putting to me is a lot of a lot of the women I met and stuff like was the stereotypical what every fella you would think would go after
Yeah.
or the for reasons of this and that of
Uh-huh.
every normal man you would think. And what I kept realizing is I would get to this point where I'm like, I didn't know how to, I don't know, like it would just it'd be dead. You know what I mean? There was like, there's just something ain't here yet. There's
Yeah.
something different. And don't get me wrong, they worked hard. A couple of them did. By couple of them, I mean a couple of them. A couple of them worked hard at stuff, but it sure as shit wasn't what it should have been. But hey, a couple of you, I don't mean it bad. If you ever see this, one of you especially, shout out to you're welcome. Thanks. I'm glad my wallet got lighter there for a couple years. Appreciate you. But anyway, that was what was great about Ashley is it was insane because she's so driven and
Yeah.
wants to do stuff with her career and like doesn't need me for anything. And I think that sounds crazy, but I found it more attractive that the what she loves me for is like genuinely me. It wasn't sure shit wasn't financial. She makes more money than fucking I could probably ever imagine to. Sure shit wasn't any kind of talent I have because she has more talent in writing her name on something than I probably have in anything I've ever done. Uh, you know, she knows how to do shit that is more manly than I ever do, and I have no humility in admitting it. Growing up, but like you said, the strengths of my mom that I learned. I always joke and call Ashley. I'm like, you're the husband and I'm the wife in our situation a lot of times because there's
Yeah.
stuff that I'll get so frustrated trying to fix it. She'll come fix it, and it's because her dad was a contractor and taught her how to do stuff. You know,
Yeah.
but then there's stuff, and this sounds horrible, but it's also hilarious. In the kitchen, she'll make something, and I'm like, and here I'll come behind her, and little salt bay that shit on there, and boop boop, or cook something, and we're where we need to be, or whether Braden's baseball pants, for example, she'll do her good, try to get stains out, and then here I come, and I'm like, I
Yep.
got this, yeah, and stuff
Yep.
like that. And it's little
No,
things like that, or it's so funny, like, and then like just how my mom is about like being outspoken, being unapologetic about what comes out. If that's how you feel, not everyone's gonna like it, and they don't have to. Fuck them, and
yeah.
that's
Definitely.
me. And that's it's so funny that when Ashley came around, once I got to know her, that I'm like, all of a sudden, and it was instant. It's funny how that all works because that shit I couldn't see anywhere
Uh-huh.
else, and I always am like, what the hell? Like, because you're like, all right, and you didn't see it, and then you sit there and you're like, is it me? And then I thought to
Yeah.
myself, I'm like, no, this ain't me. I'm just a He-Man woman hater. I'm like, I'm getting in my own way, which I was,
Yeah.
and that's what it was that was keeping me there. Like because
Yeah.
that I knew what I was looking for, but I got to the point where I didn't think that was gonna like existed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you're like, because you hold your mom on a pedestal like this, like
Yes, you do.
especially if you're a mama's boy.
Yes.
So, and and especially when your mom has been an independent mom and was a single mom and did it all. and like you
Yeah.
see them do all that,
Yes.
there's nothing. It's a whole nother level. Like,
Yeah.
so if any of you have been through that, like we do. So then you see that and you're like, why in God's name? Yeah, when I'm looking for a spouse, why in God's name would I want anything different than that?
Yes.
You know, you want
Yep.
those qualities because those qualities were so important and are the same qualities that you and me are both fortunate enough because our moms are still alive and kicking,
Yeah.
and they're still as feisty as ever. We're fortunate
Oh,
enough to still have that. And then, and that's when Ashley came along and getting to know Ashley and stuff, I'm like, it didn't it literally, it's like it smacked me straight in the fucking face. I'm like,
I
there it is. I knew I did, and like how you say they know,
yeah.
like I knew, like
You,
I can't even put it into word, like I just fucking knew it. I'm like,
it the analogy, and I say this as far as men, and I think a lot of men, you never really hear them talk a lot about this. Sometimes you have the movie Waiting to Exhale.
mhm,
Women, I think men, because we are different creatures and what we look for, and I think any women out there listening to this understand this. A man just wants peace, peace of mind,
yes, indeed.
peace of why when and it's been said a million times. Why would a man who is out at work all day and dealing with stress, strain in the outside world, your household should be your peace, should be your
Hmm.
calm. Be his peace and be his calm. I think when you will know, and
Oh
like you
yeah,
said, you will
yes.
have this feeling of calmness when you're around that certain person.
Oh yeah, yep.
Disagreements happen,
Oh yeah,
arguments. If you're continuously, it seems like that's all you do, then that's not your peace, that's not your calm.
it's not.
I think
People
with
get
men,
fooled to thinking that it is.
yeah, and I think sometimes as men, I think men want a strong woman, especially if they're very strong personality wise men, that you want someone who can match that.
Yeah,
But then
for
you're
sure.
also looking for someone who could say, sit back, I got this.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
as I said, they could walk in front of you and take the lead. They can next to you and keep you calm, or they can
Hmm.
get behind you and push you when you need to be pushed. And I
Exactly.
think we've lost that. I'm not saying that. I think it's just kind of a lost, not art per se, but I think it's kind of a lost feeling. And I think
Yeah,
people
yeah.
nowadays are just settle. Um, a lot of people are afraid to be
Hmm.
alone.
That's what I said. That word.
Uh, I
Oh yeah.
think a lot of people need to have someone in their lives, and then I think what happens is you realizing that this could be the wrong situation, and people are saying it's just the saying it's easier to keep her. It's
Yep.
easier for me just to kind of stay within the relationship, the marriage, because I don't want to deal with all the backlash and all the bullshit. Instead
Yep.
of saying, okay, this isn't for me, this isn't going to
Hmm.
work. This is that you. I mean, it's like you said, you did 37 years of doing this. Like, man, I went through a divorce. I went through good relationships, bad relationships. I had to find myself before I could say,
Yeah.
boom.
Exactly.
And I was, I had to get to a point in my life where I was comfortable being either, this is what I want. And I had saying, either I'm going to be okay being single and just working and doing the things I want to do, or B, I'm okay with if I find the right person to settle down with, grow with, have a family with, etc., etc. It
Hmm.
wasn't none of this. Oh, I just want the pleasure and this and that stuff. Like it had to, you had to find someone. I had to find someone who balanced, and that was, dude.
Yeah.
That was like the,
Exactly.
I think once you find that, then you most the satisfaction is just nonstop. So it's like, yeah, you
Yeah,
have your disagreements. You have like, I mean, I don't know how you feel, but it's like when you think about it now, like there's no true blown out arguments. You have
we
disagreements.
don't. Yeah, we don't. We annoy each other. Don't get me wrong. She's not a morning person. I am a morning person. I go out of my way on a regular basis just to poke the bear, just being a brat. When we do have anything that's an argument, it's usually quick
Yep.
and it's over as quick as it started, and it's
Right.
usually exactly there's no humility between the two of us and saying you're right, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I get hot headed about shit. I always will. She's stubborn as shit on some stuff. I'm as stubborn as shit on other stuff. But most of the time, we read each other enough to know that none of that is worth. It's not worth it to even.
Man.
It's not
Yeah.
even worth it. If whether I love it or don't like it, and whether she loves it or don't like it, it's just some things are better left to be said, and at the same time say it in a way that is respectful and out of love, but also gets the point across. Where if you're going to say, "Hey, you're being a son of a bitch," I would rather she just say you're being a son of a bitch, and I might be like, "Well, fuck off for a minute," but then I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm being a son of a bitch. And
Yep.
then you know what? She's like, "I love you. I'll see you in a minute," or type something like that. Or and
Yeah.
or it's it's stuff like that. Like there is no, and that's
No
like you said,
grudge,
finding peace.
man.
There is no. I have never, yeah, I have never in my life like, and that's how you know. Like I look forward to coming home.
Yeah.
You know,
I
it is
never
nice to have someone there like that. Everything you said about like their peace, they push in stuff. I love having every part of that. And what gets me is like when you were talking about being alone, and that's both of us went through that stuff, and it's funny because we won't say his name, but I have a very dear buddy of mine
uh-huh.
right now. Subtle hint is he is very much considered by most people to probably be my little brother from another mother.
Uh-huh.
Uh, he has had a very unlucky and tough go with the ladies.
Yeah.
It's not because he's not a great guy. It's not because he doesn't have the biggest heart in the world. That big heart of his gets him in trouble. And I am a
Uh-huh.
protective brother bear like no other over that boy. Man, should I say, but he's always going to be a boy to me. And it's funny because I tell him all the time and I let him do his thing and it's not my thing to step into, but I remember, he was right there with me this whole time and it was partners in crime for a lot of this. And when Hubbard went down, it was just him and me for quite a while there. And it's funny because like then now it's just him. And
Yeah.
and I love him to death, but he goes through it now and I know for a fact that one of these days, and I see it from the outside, one of these days I know the biggest thing was me, and it's funny how fast it happened afterwards. Is I remember there at the end of when I was walking away from ball and like and just kind of having I was always me I was the life of the party when I was drinking and having fun, but then I would disappear into thin air just as easy.
Yeah.
And I pulled several Houdini acts. Now
Yeah.
my social medias were always active, but to see me, I was almost kind of reclusive there at times.
Yeah.
Everyone knew I was there, but I wasn't there, and
Yeah.
I liked it that way. Everyone would assume I was talking to this girl, this girl. No one ever fucking had a clue what I was doing until I fucked around and started hanging out with softball girls. Idiot. But you look at you look at those situations and stuff, and when I stopped, I kind of stopped the ball, and when I it hit me that everything I had done was great and stuff, but I was ready to just stop,
Yeah.
and had come to the conclusion that I like my peace that I have now. I like this peace. I'm quiet, but it's calm. I don't need the bar. I don't need to be doing this shit anymore. This is a blast, but I'm ready to close this book. It was so
You
funny as I was getting to that phase and thinking about that all and like coming to it that it as soon as I had made peace with that part of it and
uh-huh.
and, and knew where I was at, that I met her. and it was
Yeah.
so funny that it literally went hand in hand. And I've told the little brother before that once he makes the piece that he needs to, and he doesn't do that stuff. His is work. He works his ass off and takes care of the kiddos. And fucking another father of the year right there. He busts his ass for them kids. But he's in the same boat that once he is, I guess in a way, content with being alone and knowing that he's doing a fucking phenomenal job, whether it's there's a girl there or not. That once he accepts that, because I know he's hard on
Yeah.
himself about it. Once he accepts that, I think that the right person will
Will come in.
boom, there they'll be.
Yep.
It's just funny how that's how it works. And then he'll have his pusher, his piece, his calm, his everything he needs. And then and that's you did it, I did it. It's Hubbard did it. You know, it
Man,
happens. It's awesome. It's all part of it.
I
It's all part of the growth of as a human being. You know, it's just it's awesome. And then some people don't have it. And that's cool. Do your thing.
I used to believe that the piece was at the nightclubs, chasing tail as per se.
Oh,
You
oh,
know, getting into trouble with doing this or doing that. Now I realize the piece is at the ball fields with my boy, or watching
yep,
my daughter do gymnastics, or
yep,
me sitting in front of a smoker with a drink in my hand with music playing as I'm sitting in my lawn chair watching the kids play in the yard or the dog run around in the yard.
yep,
Like, that's my
yep.
piece. I mean,
Yep.
like you said, man, but
And it's funny, man. You find it.
yeah, you do.
Mine is the quiet. I mean, that
Yeah.
sounds crazy. Like I was a part of the noise and same kind of stuff. I love the
Yep.
noise. I thought, you know, the light. You know, I did I enjoyed that
You
life. I
know,
love being
I
attention. I love
realized
partying. I love dancing, and then I love the quiet.
I realized I didn't want to be that 40 or 50-year-old guy sitting at the club and people, why sit
Nope,
old
me
ass
neither.
sitting at the club chasing these little
Nope,
20, 30 year
nope.
old somethings.
Yep, exactly. It was our time. That was me. I'm like, my time is done. I'm not going in here no more. And it wasn't
Man,
shit. You know, with me, the bad thing was I wasn't even chasing tail. I'm just in there drinking and then dancing with everybody after I got hammered.
well,
That
man,
was the
I
funny
tell you
part. It's like
what,
I
man,
didn't even want to talk to no girl.
I tell you what, it's been, it, I tell you what, it was like this episode, 13th episode. Yeah, episode
Oh yeah,
13. It's slowly
St. Patty's
climbing up.
Day. Hopefully
St.
everybody's
Patty's
surviving right
Day.
now.
I tell you what, it's like I sit
All
here and
you,
go, St. Patty's Day has a different meaning nowadays. Didn't care about being at a parade, being at a bar,
yeah,
fighting, seeing the
yeah.
fight.
I don't want no goddamn green beer. I don't want no corned beef. Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't eat
I
a
wanted
corned
to
beef
sleep
sandwich.
in this morning. That's all I did. I didn't even give a damn. That would be good.
I'll take a good corned beef sandwich. That'd be pretty damn good. But
Eh, I'll tell you, I like corned beef and hash,
yeah, well,
but
I
like
do
I
too.
don't. You start getting into sauerkraut and all that shit. I'm like, mm-mm.
I like a little corned beef hash. I'm with that too. Uh,
Yeah, I like that.
but I man, anything last before we close this episode.
Well, you know, we tackled a little bit of sports. The only thing I'm going to say is Hollywood Brown. What's up? Welcome to the kingdom.
Chris
A lot of
Jones,
people.
Rick
Chris
Man.
Jones. Yep. Welcome to. Hopefully, not welcome to, but hopefully your career is here and it ends here. Hopefully, we have done maybe not enough yet, but we are in the going the
Yeah.
right direction to
I will
getting
close
ourselves
with
into a good spot.
I will close. You did a little football. I'm gonna do a little baseball to close
Oh
with.
man,
Ronald Acuna's little brother, absolute stud.
Louis Angel.
Yeah. Uh Drew Jones, the son of the Andrew Jones, is not too
Mm-hmm.
far behind Daddy when it comes to being a defensive stud on the outfield.
Can glove the ball well.
Yes. A name in the Detroit Tigers organization, Max Clark, absolute stud.
Oh yeah.
And of
Yep.
course, yeah, I cannot leave out Ethan Salas and the San Diego Padre 17-year-old catcher. I gotta watch some of that spring training, the little spring whatever they were doing, and caught some of those boys on top of many, many other kids. Baseball is not losing any talent. There's gonna be a lot of
No,
talent coming
it's
up.
in good hands, man.
And I didn't want to do this either, but
You say
my
that. By the
Kansas
way,
Jayhawks
Texas
took,
Rangers.
yeah,
Texas Rangers, you can't forget Texas Rangers, World Series champ Texas Rangers, Mr. Wyatt Langford.
yeah.
Oh my. You guys are in good hands. Pondo, my man, if you see this, you got yourself some boys, you loved them forever, and right now I think you got yourself a nasty, nasty crew in the works there in Texas.
Uh,
Oh no, I know where you're going with this. Oh, I heard the KU part. This is what happened there. Oh man. Sons of bitches.
they took 2 or 3, and then after they took the first 2, then they proceeded to lose 5 of the
Got
last.
up in the third one.
We lost. Then after the Sunday matchup, we ended up losing Sunday, Monday, lost Friday, won Saturday, lost today. But I had to get a little
Well, you
ribbon.
didn't do anything to help my boys get. I'll tell you what, I was like, we went to that series, and I'm like, oh, we get a sweep here, take 2 or 3, and we're gonna be looking all right with this rankings thing. And then the first game and the second game, I'm like, and we're not going anywhere. This is where we're going to be at. We might even be lower now.
One more baseball thing. Paul Skeens.
Gas.
That's it. I'm ending with that.
Yeah, mustache and gas.
What was it? 101, 100, and 101. Back to back to back. 3 pitches in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the guy is living a good life with the young Livy Dunn.
Yeah, he does not have it rough there. Does not have anything rough going on in that guy's life. Has the best right now. Literally, why he's in camp, and and he's going to extended spring training or whatever, so that they don't have him too far away. Yeah. Also has right now the best mustache on a pitcher in the game.
Oh yeah,
just throw smoke, dates a hottie, killer mustache. Guy's living right.
Yeah. Man, the one thing,
right.
God,
how you do it.
I knew there was one more thing I wanted to talk about. One more thing I wanted to talk about, totally forgot, but I'm going to leave it at this. NCAA, you guys fucking suck. Because they're trying to outlaw bat flips in the college game.
Oh,
NCAA,
boy.
you suck. I'll leave it at that. That's it.
Oh, boy.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
But
hey, man, if you're gonna let them, you gonna let all them kids get paid? Quit worrying about fucking bat flips.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep. If you're gonna make them, they're gonna make millions. Let them flip that bat.
With that, we're gonna close on that. NCAA, I'm bat flip. Let it go. Stupid. With that, we're gonna flip the bat. We're out of here.